very crystal clear to everyone.
No, I don't want my own company.
Very spicy.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Manfred Dietrich is not only a lawyer and a business leader, he is also a passionate advocate for European future. He believes it's time to protect Europe's freedom and explain what the European Union can learn from Luxembourg.
Those who fret an open society are not welcome.
I have another challenging question for you.
Oh my gosh.
Are you afraid of AI? Manfred, you are now the partner in your fourth law company. What are ingredients of success? If you would like to build a successful business or a successful law company, because you already have an experience in 4 companies, right?
Yes.
And most of them were successful. What do you think helped them to become successful?
I think it's to build up trust and to address and to understand the needs of your clients and to help them to do their business.
Mm-hmm.
Because everyone has different needs. One client is more sophisticated, the other one is less sophisticated. So you need to dig into and understand what is the concrete need of this person, where do I need to help? Some need really only the legal advice, others need a lot of hand-holding from operational, practical perspective. So I think it is crucial that as a lawyer in business, you understand the needs of your client, and ideally you understand also a little bit of the business, what they're doing. Mm-hmm. But that is something which you may only develop over time. But then you can address for each one specifically what the need is and reply to the queries in a way that they can use it for their purpose and be successful. Because in the end, when the client is successful, he will be happy with the lawyer. Then I'm happy.
The beauty of being a silver fox, as we are, so 50-plus gentlemen, is that we have seen in finance or in law over the last 20, 25 years, all kind of client situations that gives us the comfort to give that guidance to clients.
Absolutely.
In their personal situation. So I think that applies for each and every industry that transcends industries.
Absolutely, absolutely. And if I think back, I have advised big family offices, and it's a completely different approach than if you advise a development financial institution.
Well, I guess so.
Very different approach, doing a fund for retail investors is another thing. So, yeah.
Everything is different.
Everything's different, but that makes it also very, very spicy.
Yeah,
Because I like what I'm doing. I find it interesting. And when I started in Luxembourg as a funds lawyer, I was told that around 6 weeks before starting that I will start in funds, and I had no clue what funds is. I bought a book and I read, what is a fund? How does this work? And then I started in Luxembourg, and I really liked it because there was regulatory, there was corporate, there was always something with tax, there was something with, I need to get investors on board, marketing. So there's a lot of things coming together, and you are at the heart of everything and trying to arrange it.
It was one of the nicest stories I learned, although we know each other for quite some years, I think 13 years in the meantime, is that you came over, now a very reputable lawyer in funds and finance, etc., and you read a book just to start with. Just reflecting on me, when I came to Luxembourg in 2011, my English was kind of a bit rusty, as it is if you don't work in an English-speaking environment. And now we run an English-speaking podcast. So I just love this story, you know? It's just fantastic.
Yeah, that's true.
But you have your own story with multilingualism, right? So you went to France, right?
That's
in the young
That's true,
years.
but let's say I grew up basically not even German, but Swabian. and then
Same here.
and then I was scholarized and I learned German. And
I can relate. That's why German is our first foreign language.
exactly. So, but I always loved French language. The moment I started to learn it, I loved it, and I learned it from let's say the approach was very much conversational because I did school exchange and we went out to a bar and I wanted to understand what the guys are talking about. So that's the way how I had the approach for French. English was not with the same enthusiasm, but that changed over time. And I then absolutely wanted to study in France, which I didn't manage to do. So for my lawyer formation in Germany, you have the possibility in one of the stakes for the 2-year formation you do with the state to choose where you go for your specialization. And anyway, I did something international. I did European procedural law and comparison of law, private international law. So there was a good reason to say, I go abroad and do that in another country. And I absolutely wanted to go to Paris, obviously to experience Paris and obviously to learn French for professional use.
As a young person, Paris is something very interesting.
and to have the link to the other country and the language, and that worked out well. I was not having friends around me speaking German. I was forced. My French was a good high school level, but of course the level was not sufficient to work in. And I learned it a little bit the hard way because I needed to do something, and the lawyer I worked for, he was not very happy with my translation, and I understood why. But after half a year, I was then finalizing graduation, and saw this advertisement of a law firm in Luxembourg.
Just forgot the name.
No, I'm happy to mention it. It was Arendt.
Okay. Small law firm, Luxembourg.
And at the time, Arendt was 130 people, not even when the advert went out.
Yeah.
I know it because my wife started already in August 2000 when I sent my CV, my French was for professional use. And of course, a German who did not double graduation with a French graduate with a French accent is relatively rare that he speaks professional, usable French. And I find it very interesting to go to Luxembourg to work in French and English and German. Obviously, emphasis on English and German. Working in French was a little bit less, but conversational language in the law firm was French. And obviously, every law is issued in French language. So it's always very useful if you can read the original and get the tiny little bits and pieces, the motif de loi. All of this is in French. Yeah.
I love the story, especially the wife you have been referring to that started earlier than yourself is by accident also French. So it all looks like, a thought through life story.
Completely by accident.
Yes, a nice accident.
No. I tend to say, I'm not only professionally grateful to Aaron because it was a good formation, but also privately because she worked in the same department, and then as things go, and now we are married 20 years.
Congratulations!
Thank you. Together for 25 and married 20, and we have two lovely teenagers, and we like it here. It's certainly at all ends something very positive in my life, but I needed to jump also in the water, in the cold water.
But at a certain moment you also mentioned that it is important for you to defend European values. What do you mean by that, and how is connected to your personal story?
My father was the mayor of the hometown where I grew up, and he became mayor in 1966 and had, since 1963, worked on a on a sister ship with a French city. And when he became mayor, he was elected. One of the first things he needed to do was to sign this sister ship with the French city. And in all the negotiations, he dealt with the mayor in this French city, in Ardèche, in France. It's called Annonay. And this was a region where there was a lot of resistance fighters during World War II. And this mayor in this French city was a resistance fighter. And my father, born in 29, just escaped to be one of the last soldiers. So both knew these very bad times between France and Germany and on the European continent. Yeah. And he told me that they had both resistance in France, of course. How can we do a sister ship with a German city? They have been so bad with us. And in Germany, of course, there was a little bit of a same revanchisme. And both managed to do it. And he told me that they had a conversation. They spoke English to each other, because this was the conversation language which they both could speak best. The French mayor said to my father, "Look, Mr. Dietrich, you and I, we know war. We know what it means. It is our generation who needs to arrange that there's reconciliation. If we don't do it, it will not work, because we know what it means." And that let's say remained in my head since young years. And this sistership with the French city was something always important and very positive. And so when we now come to the European values, coming out of these very dark times in Europe,
Yes.
2 world wars initiated by European countries, a lot of dead, a lot of bad things. And then I think Europe managed to create something very positive with a lot of values. So everyone has the freedom and the liberty to live at their way, as long as you don't try to make and force others to live in a way they don't want. So leave the liberty to the others, and the state will ensure that there's a system which is ensuring law and correct treatment. And I think nowadays it becomes even more important that this is something where we need to stand up for, and where I think it needs to be made very crystal clear to everyone who wants to limit that or wants to drive it into a specific direction of only this is allowed and only this is allowed. That's not going to work. And we should really be very attentive and be very demanding. And if someone is not adhering to the value of freedom and liberty, and also the value of freedom of speech, then maybe he's not at the right place, or she. And I think for let's say, as a sign is always, people still want to go to Europe. A lot of people say a lot of bad things about it, but where do they want to go?
Exactly.
Not in the countries where there is totalitarianism, dictatorship, or something which is close to that. So I think, of course, not everything is perfect. Nothing is perfect. But still, I think we should, let's say, really stand up for it.
I love you for this statement, Manfred. And also, of course, since we have a co-host from Ukraine, of course, with very current, of course, family stories, I'm grateful for our age, that we are old enough that we could speak and listen to those that have experienced that war, etc.
Yeah.
My grandfather as well, etc. And what it actually means to preserve those values, especially in times, as you have perfectly mentioned, times where it looks like a certain erosion of those very values.
Yeah. So that's, let's say, I mean, we could now talk about 2, 3, 4 hours about the same topic, but in a nutshell, I think And that's also something which in professional life, we will come to it probably, but make very clear there's a lot of freedom, there's a lot of liberty, but as soon as you start to wanting to diminish the freedom and liberty of the others, that's the stopping point. And there you will go straight to the wall, and we will not allow you to do that. It's of course in a society which is open, a bit more difficult, but I think it's worth.
But how do you think we can protect the values, the European values?
First of all, making clear what it is. It's not that everyone can do whatever it wants. You can do a lot of things. You can be very free, but you should not aim to override the basic rules of freedom, of the value of life, and all of these things. And from my perspective, we could be more demanding and more clear on the item. Also, when it comes to, we would like to have an open society. Those who threat an open society are not welcome. And that goes for those who were born and raised here and have a nationality, and goes for others who do not. I think that there must be clear sanctions when it comes to. We don't want this liberty being let's say overruled by we all should just believe one thing. In a diverse society, you can get so much out of it because everybody is contributing something which someone else may not know exactly or may not know that well, and everyone can profit of it.
Yeah.
I've just got reminded of our latest episode, last episode with Peter Dork, and he said the beauty of, in similar words, the beauty of getting older is that there's no black and white. You see things from different perspectives. You have lived and worked or dealt with all kind of different people, personalities, etc. So there is a bit more distinction and not just black and white. I think that's also the beauty of all of that. And Luxembourg is, of course, a perfect example of having a European and a global melting pot of people just in one tiny spot.
Manfred, what has been the main challenge in your life so far?
I let's say have two, of course, in mind a little bit, but let's say the professional one is certainly a very traditional one, because if you pass German legal exams, I would say
you're squeezed to the max.
Yeah, well, there are some people who had fun in it.
Would take great joy in it.
I would not recommend that for having fun. But of course, yeah. Done and managed and fine, but on a private scale, I would say I have an older brother, and at a time and place, I needed to realize that I lose my older brother to him being mentally sick, and that was, of course, not a one day to the other development. It was a long year development, and but at one time and place, it was at a point that I said to myself, okay, now I no longer have an older brother where I looked up, where I orientated also a little bit like I do with a older sibling, and I needed to accept that it's now me, the old one, because he has things he can't deal himself with, and he's doing fine today in the sense of, to the extent possible, but for me it was a very, let's say, intensive time, and also I needed to understand I need to follow my way without being disturbed by him having serious problems I unfortunately cannot help him with. I tried to do to the extent I was able, but and fortunately my parents had, let's say, the same approach. But it was not easy from from an emotional perspective. It was something which took a bit of time to digest, and that's what it is.
Did it have any influence on the way you are leading people now in the company, or how you're working with people in general?
I would not say that this had an influence on how I work with people. No, I would not say. It is more something which maybe contributed to the way of, okay, I need to do my own thing, and maybe this had. I mean, I did my own thing also before, but that let's say emphasized the element that I need to look by myself, without having let's say the support, or let's say the emotional support of an older brother.
I have another question.
Yeah.
You has been a lawyer throughout all your life. Did you ever think of changing your career? Because we already had two guests that decided to stop being lawyers and they switched into tech business.
I would like to be a little bit nuanced in this one, because yes.
Now you make me curious.
But I worked 6.5 years in-house. I did not work in a law firm. So I was, of course, working with a legal background and very often touching on legal topics, but I was not in the legal departments. I was in, let's say, fund engineering or central administration department. So I needed to lead other things, but like in a law firm. That's, I would say, a difference than working in the legal department of a bank, for instance. So I was in a management company in Luxembourg, and I was heading the central administration in a bank, giving you certainly also an insight on operational, practical aspects, which, let's say, if you have not worked there, you do not see it in the same way.
But I find that very refreshing, a sense that you have seen it from both ways, of course, from the actual legal advisory side and the actual fundamental nitty-gritty operational side, which I think also gives you, talking about authenticity as a podcast, also something, of course, that adds authenticity in the conversations with your clients.
I definitely think it was very useful. It was also something where I was interested. I remember when I did the step to go in-house, that I was really interested in knowing what's happening. At the time, it was the fund world was different in 2003-04. You were let's say, I would say, at least from my recollection, a little bit more far away. At least as a associate of 2-3 years experience, you were a little bit more far away from what problematics potentially came up after a fund had been created. Usually you created a fund and the investors came in, everything was fine. There was the annual general meetings and that's it. A little bit like that. And that there is much, much more behind it. I was curious about that. And that was one of the reasons why I changed in-house at the time. And I must say then later, especially in the management company, I was directly below the CEO, and I think it was also very helpful for me to see a lot of commercial aspects you would not have come across when you're not. So you looked at that
and said, no, I don't want my own company. Our business is done. No, it's not for me.
Actually, at the end of this, when I decided to go back in law firm, there was a moment where I considered, potentially also taking up a role which is more important in a management company, maybe not in your own company, but at the level of the management. And otherwise, I also considered potentially going into the association part of the work. So, but in the end, I went back in law firm.
I find this refreshing in a sense that not all, but many in Luxembourg, as the second largest fund domicile apart from the US, see funds as something you have to administer, or you have to structure, or whatever. But knowing with your experience that it's a business you build, you start up, you have corporate mergers and acquisitions in between, you scale, you wind down, whatever. So understanding that this is a business, not just something you model or make the accounting for.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I always appreciate it, and I still appreciate having these conversations, sometimes challenging for a lawyer with people which are, let's say, doing portfolio management. Obviously, I do not understand everything, but I try to.
A bit more than the headlines, I guess.
Yeah.
I have another challenging question for you.
Yeah.
Lawyers are now considered to be one of the professions that endangered by AI, and Goldman Sachs, they did a report that 44%, I think, of legal work tasks could be potentially automated by generative AI. Are you afraid of AI?
Now the real talk begins.
No, I'm not afraid. I find it, I'm enthusiastic about it.
Cool.
It's maybe that's also a little bit of background. Of course, my age, a phone had a cable, and you turned something to, and of course, emails you would not even imagine. And that did change the professional life, and other things. The internet changed professional life. We had a lot of changes. Of course, AI is another, let's say, booster in speed, but let's arrange this future. I'm not afraid in the sense of, oh my gosh, that changes. Oh, I don't want to touch it or whatever. No, I want to be more at the forefront and arrange it and learn it. And by the way, including the people who are much younger, who grew up in a different way because they were used already in school to work with AI. Yeah. I was not. I need to learn it, and I do it. Yeah, but I think it is providing opportunity for the quality of the service. Obviously, also for the speed. Might be that the one or the other, especially more junior level, will have it a little bit harder. But on the other side, I think and that goes for a lot of things. We live in a world where the development is happening, and I prefer that it's happening at places where you can trust largely the system, where you can trust largely those involved, in the sense of it's not by definition abusive. So let's make it happen there, and let's be at the forefront there. And if Carl Benz would have thought, oh my gosh, there could be a lot of accidents happening if I invent a car, he would not have invented the car. So of course there's risks with certain things, but we need to look at these and manage and mitigate, and not be afraid of development because of, oh, there could be a risk. And this is something more in general, I would say, look at the opportunity and don't forget potential downsides, but look first at the opportunity and not look first at the downside and then don't do it, or do it only in a way that it would not be leading to something positive. When research in natural sciences started really heavily, of course, this time is not coming back, but we can have an approach which is very open to result for a lot of things, and not having the approach, oh, we need to first regulate everything. A regulation which prevents development I don't think that this is the right approach.
That's a lovely statement. What I find interesting for me, because I have a finance background, of course, we have a complementary background, so to say. But if you're 20, 25 years and more in the business, of course, you create this intuition, this gut feeling. I just think of one of our former guests, Robert Bühning, that said AI doesn't have a gut. Yeah? When it's about the actual brain work, where your clients are happily paying for, of course, that's something, of course, where AI can help you get rid of all the trivia work, so to say, where your judgment, your intuition, your gut feeling really pays off.
I used it in the past days, and when you ask the right question and you get a result, then you need to verify, of course. And that's what happened numerous times, that you verify what an AI is basically creating for you.
Yeah.
And then you realize, oh no, there they didn't get the point, there they didn't get the point, I need to formulate it differently. But I think you can provide a sophisticated service in using it, which doesn't take away that you need an associate, a senior associate, and others in order to deliver in the end the entire work. Yeah, it will not be that my associate is the AI that doesn't work. Mm-hmm. From my perspective and experience, that doesn't work.
But will we have less lawyers in the future?
Potentially a little bit, not significantly, from my perspective. Obviously, I'm optimistic. I'm confident that the younger people will have a different approach with using it, and potentially we will be able to deal with certain things we do not imagine today that we could deal with it in a very fast and well summarized way. And I see when you have a lot of documents and you need to do due diligence, AI is helping you to get a result which is more sophisticated, because basically no one can read all of these stuff always line by line. Yeah.
Also that fast.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. So I'm optimistic for the use.
I love your progressive outlook, and it also comes as a relief for the one or the other lawyer in the making. Yeah.
It might well be that there is challenges, yeah. But in former times, you send a letter by postal service, and then there was the fax, so the telecopy, and then the email came, and everyone was, oh my gosh. I need to reply quickly, and I cannot be away, and In the end, we adapted to the system and made it work. And the same goes for online availability of books and so on and so on. So, yeah, certainly something we need to address, but not problematic that we should all be very pessimistic that there will be only a very, very few percentage of today's lawyers. I do not believe that.
And
it will change. It will be different. Yeah.
Speaking about AI, it is not regarded to be as especially creative. But if we speak, for example, about Luxembourgish system, law system, where it seems that different laws are created in the way that it can be interpreted in different ways. Unlike, for example, Germany, do you think who can win there, more a human lawyer or an AI in this system?
In the system, it's probably for the AI easier if you have a system where you can rely on massively background information.
So it's more like German system is
exactly.
better for AI.
Yeah,
yeah.
Probably better for AI.
Feels better for me as well.
Good
for Luxembourg.
What I always found interesting right from the beginning is that in Luxembourg you need to think more with basic lawyer thinking. In Germany as well, but not in the same way. Here you have rules, you have regulation, you have laws, but it leaves more space
For creativity.
Which you need to, of course,
Yeah.
very well argue. And of course, a space for creativity leaves sometimes unclarity, but unclarity compared to the liberty is not always a negative. And this is very difficult for a German.
Yeah, it's difficult. It's difficult for people from a lot of countries who come to Luxembourg to see that you can kind of. It's not always the answer yes or no.
Yeah.
That it's always like. So for you, it's a more positive thing, or.
I think it's mainly positive. Yeah. Because I've seen too many European directives coming in, and then a relatively good first draft of a German implementation law, and then throughout all the process it was so polished that in the end the funds would still be done in Luxembourg. And and here I always appreciated that there was not even a sense of, oh, we could gold plate something, we could make it more than what is required. Naturally, we need rules and we need to respect these, but on the other side, also for a business, you need to have the liberty to evolve. And if it's too rigid, it's difficult to evolve. And if you want to rule every potential idea in the future already from the beginning,
Yes.
it will be difficult to be flexible.
I think that's also something I learned in my 15 years in Luxembourg, that this is somewhat also the DNA of Luxembourg, which gives that room for reinvention if it's not too uber strict.
Yeah. Sometimes we could adjust certain things, but I think, let's say generally it has worked out well, and it has not worked out well because we always stick to the same thing. There has been development. When the AIFMD came in, the partnership was completely refurnished.
AIFMD, have to explain it just a second. It's a directive for alternative investment fund managers.
Yeah.
Since we also have non-finance native viewers.
Apologies.
That's fantastic. Oh, wonderful. Just to make sure they can follow.
The acronym victim. But yeah. And then later on, the reserved alternative investment funds law came in, which is a basically unregulated version of the specialized investment fund, which is fully regulated, giving additional liberty, speed. Yeah, a lot of things, but other things were still available and and continue to exist. So it's not abolishing something because, oh, we have just something new. And what is extremely important is that there's a stability in the systematic approach. So if the government changes, you should not fear that there is taxes invented, which would be dangerous to the business. And everyone knows that. And you can rely on it. And that's something I find very positive. From a business perspective, you can rely on an economical and entire system which is generally well coordinated and functioning, and this should be one of the things which should be preserved for the future.
And I think also something that makes Luxembourg particularly strong is, for me, the main asset is proximity. It's very business friendly. I just have to think of a kind of a joke, but more a lovely statement about the former Prime Minister Xavier Bettel, when the fintech ecosystem was in its infancies, where there was a saying that he knows the first 50 founders by the first name. I'm not sure about Mr. Frieden, but that's of course something. Of course, I admire a lot: this proximity, openness, and making sure that this success story continues.
I mean, that doesn't mean that there's not challenges and there's not things to address, but in general, I observed over 25 years that the outcome was very often positive. Now we could speak about a number of things, but it's not needed, because for the topic here, I think the impression and the belief is that there is a strong will to continue in a very business-orientated, pragmatic manner, and hopefully that will not turn into something else, because that would be, from my perspective, not the approach. And I think at a European level, one could look at Luxembourg for a lot of things when it comes to especially funds business, and a little bit take the ideas and look what has been done in order to profit for making Europe in general more interesting. But that requires that you jump out of your sometimes very national view into a European level. And given that Luxembourg is so outbound, so cross-border, that's of course easier for a small country dealing with the world than if you are a bigger country where, of course, the local market is already of a certain importance. But in the interest of a European scale of interest from the world for investment or for products, I think it would be good to look at what Luxembourg very often did well in order to have an upside for more than one country. I'm sometimes not that optimistic when it comes to certain political approaches at a broader scale. But I hope that certain lessons will be learned. Yeah.
Coming to the topic of lessons, could you share with us 3 major lessons you learned in your life?
Just try. Don't be afraid. Put the people at the place where you want them to be in your life.
Wonderful.
I know that this idea, I think, comes from someone else, but I liked it a lot. And
what do you mean by that?
If you are led by pleasing people who do not value you, you should not put them in a position that they play an important role for your professional or private life, or
so reducing access.
Exactly.
Yes,
also, I think you can choose the time you spend with people based on what your preference is.
I love it. I heard it slightly differently phrased. Can't recall the author, but it was in a sense of accept the people for who they are, but place them where they belong.
This is what I had in mind. Yeah. So you cannot always do it, but let's say also in a professional world, you have firms, environments, atmospheres, and when in the end you realize doesn't fit with me. It doesn't make this being per se wrong. It's a different approach, but might not fit with you, so you need to rectify. You made this experience and this experience, and in the end you went there in a new place, and you could use your experiences, the good ones and the bad ones.
Yes.
If you make the effort to try to reflect what happens and to improve and develop. That's not always easy, but in general, I see it more as there's always something to be learned, and you can try to implement it for the next time in a different way, so that for you it comes to another result, and that's why it's also a little bit difficult to. Of course, I had experiences were negative, but in general, also from the negative experiences, I try to find something positive for me in learning something for the next time. Doesn't work always, but at least we try.
Yeah, great. Well, thank you so much for this conversation. It was super interesting.
Thanks a lot. Dankeschön, Manfred.
Thanks to you.
If you like our conversation, please subscribe to our channel so more and more people will know that the conversation was really interesting and will be able to watch it as well.